So the story of how Thea knew me in New York City actually started when I was 17. A number of vectors converged in just such a way that I was brought to a key turning point in my life. I had three great paths opening before me, and I had to choose one. Go to Broadway, become an architect, or get married to my high school sweetheart. Although at the time I didn't understand this, my essence actually decided to do all three. I was living out in the middle of the desert in Arizona, and I had a plan laid out for my life. I would finish my last year of high school with some fun classes like drama, and then I was going to go to Arizona State University, where I had already been accepted to study architecture. I would spend the summers with my boyfriend, who was in college in North Carolina, and then we would marry after graduation. An Episcopalian priest, Vance Vidal, the brother of the prize-winning author Gore Vidal, teaches my drama class. In class one day, it comes out that he had attended seminary just 2 blocks down the street from where I had lived on Seminary Road. Brother Vidal casts me into several leading roles, telling me that I was one of the most talented students he had ever worked with. We discussed the value of taking theater courses at Arizona State, but he insists that I am ready to go to Broadway. I'm very flattered by his belief in me, but I feel like a career in architecture is most likely my future. And then one morning out of the blue, everything changed. The high school principal informed me I can finish my senior year at Christmas and graduate early. I check in with Arizona State University to see if I could enroll early in the spring, but they believe it would be best if I wait and start in the fall with the rest of my class as planned. Come back east and enroll in college with me, my boyfriend suggests. I bet this college would let you enroll for the spring semester with me. Then we'll have the summer together before you go back to Arizona to start at ASU in the fall. The idea sounded tempting enough that I sent in an application packet, but no expectations that it would actually work out. At rehearsal that night, Brother Vidal says, "I called my brother. He has a place for you. You know my brother Gore lives in New York City. He has a multitude of theater connections, and when I told him about you, he offered to take you in. You can live in his house, take acting classes to improve your craft while you start auditioning. You'll meet all the right people and have great opportunities." Why would he take me in? Because he believes me when I tell him that you are worth the effort. My parents remind me that I already have an excellent plan in place for my future, and I should just stay with that. And in the meantime, I worry. I'm filled with self-doubt. What if I am not that good? Do I want a life in the theater? My mind is spinning with the voices of my boyfriend, my parents, my teacher, as well as my own hopes and fears, doubts and desires. All three choices sound good and right. Then I get an acceptance letter from the boyfriend's college. I could enroll in January. My boyfriend is thrilled, and then he proposes that we get married at the end of that semester together. So there I was at 17 with a choice to make. Broadway, architecture, marriage. I chose to go back east to school. I married the boyfriend, and we resolved some karma between us. I lose touch with Brother Vidal, and I never pursue a career in architecture. Years pass. I discover the Michael teachings, and in 2006 I decide to attend the East Coast gathering. I am introduced to Thea and talk with her on the phone to get all the details. Then she says, "I'm looking forward to seeing you again." I don't think we've met before. We met when I was living in New York City. I never lived in New York City, but that sounds nice. Aren't you Rebecca with red hair? We leave it at that. We would meet in a few weeks and the mystery would be solved. Over the weekend, we took time at meals to discuss how did she know me. She described my New York apartment and said that when she visited me there, we generally sat around my dining room table, enjoying the nice view of the city. Evidently, I'm successful. I asked her, "It was me? This person you see now?" "Yes." It was a busy weekend, so we left it at that. I feel a strong familiarity with Thea. Her apparent memory of me is a little confusing, but we just let it go. A year goes by. I see her at the next gathering. There's a brief mention of our time in New York together, but the subject gets dropped. It doesn't seem important anymore. As I thought about it, though, I realized that Thea and I did indeed know each other in New York City some years ago, just not in this parallel. Over the years, I had become rather hazily aware of some of the parallel lives that had split off from this one, of other Rebekahs who had made very different life choices. I thought about them and identified with those Rebekahs as if they were me, but in a dreamlike way with vague, blurry edges and a limited understanding of their daily lives. Me, but not me. Several parallels split off when I was 17, because each of the choices available to me seemed equally viable and enticing to Essence. I hadn't given up those other opportunities when I chose marriage. I had also followed paths into architecture and Broadway, just in another parallel. And so that is the story of how Thea knew me in New York City. Through the unimaginable mechanics of parallel realities, diverging, converging, and merging, operating in both her life and mine, Thea had met Rebekah in New York City, in one parallel. And then, some years later, she met Rebekah at an East Coast gathering, in this parallel. I am still waiting, though, to meet someone who knows Rebekah, the architect.